Hello, boys.
Hello.
How are we doing?
Good. Wealth and Success Academy here. Myself, Ashley Banfield.
Immanuel Ezekiel.
And Jimmy London.
And this is our first podcast, so we're hoping to make a few mistakes. Is that right, boys?
No swearing.
No. Yeah, try not to. We wanted to give a little bit of introduction into property. So this podcast is all about how you get started in property, if you like, because I know there's a lot of stuff out there, and we've all got experience of going to these seminars where it's all very rah, run to the back, run to the front, give us all your money and that type of thing. But we want to try and give you more of an insight from three people experienced in property. One, probably, how many years?
About 25 probably now.
Call it 30. Jimmy?
Well, 20 years, really.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, my first buy-to-let, 21. Turning 40 next month.
Oh, what? Are you?
Yeah.
Well done, mate. You don't look 40.
Where's the party?
I think it's his fifth anniversary of turning 39. So, why property? So, Immanuel, why would you choose property?
The reason why I choose property, obviously I've had experience now for 25 years, and in terms of different investment strategies, it's proven for me to be the most reliable, the most successful, the most consistent over a period of time in lots of different strategies. And the main strategy that I first invested for was for cash flow, which I'll talk about a little bit more. Mm-hmm. But that's the main reason. It has longevity. It has lots of huge ability to enter the marketplace with very little amount of knowledge or money, and still be able to do things successfully. That's why people like Sarah Bean got her property show, and people still make money when the market.
She's all right too, don't she?
Yeah.
Well, she's had a few kids now.
Yeah.
How many she had? 3, 4?
Don't
And a sausage dog.
Yeah.
She didn't have the sausage dog, you know what I mean. Jimmy?
Yeah, I started out in property purely for the cash flow and the time. I'm now a father of 2, and I remember my dad saying to me, who worked 7 days a week all his life, I asked him what was your one regret? He said, I didn't watch me and my brother grow up. So that stuck in my head ever since I left work. I was working at Citibank, then I had bars and clubs. And for me, financial freedom and time I now have, all because property. Really.
Enjoying that extra time with your kids?
Yeah, well, not when they burst in the office when you're on a call, but and get Buzz Lightyear thrown at my head. But apart from that,
all part of the experience.
Exactly.
I think you've got 2, and 3.
3 that I know of.
Well, yeah. So we're all fathers, right?
Yeah.
So we know what it's like to think about the future.
Definitely.
Not just ours, but the next generation. Good. So for me, why property? Well, I've always been taught and always heard from various people, including Immanuel sitting next to me, which is a consistent basis. He's always trying to teach me something. I do learn, don't I?
You do.
I do take it on board.
Very good student.
And I share a lot of it. But it's all about getting an asset, purchasing an asset, whether you use it, you buy that asset in a traditional way, save up and what have you. But it's all about having that cash flow, isn't it?
It is about having cash flow. You know, the main reason why I invested in property is that if you do it correctly, you actually do the job once and you get rewarded every single month, year in, year out, and you have a consistent amount of cash flow. And what it gives you over time doesn't happen overnight. It gives you freedom. It gives you freedom to do what you want, where you want, with whoever you want. So those are the things that I strive for a very long time, and I'm happy to say that I'm at the end of that journey, and I have been for quite some time, to just give freedom and choices.
You've always spoken to me about passion and purpose, and some people call purpose why. You've got to have something that's there to help others, which is more or less your purpose, I guess. It's there for others, and your passion is there for you. Would that be right?
Yeah, but passion for me is in lots of different areas, and property is just one of them. It's one of those sectors that I'm always learning. I'm learning every day. I'm probably going to learn something from you two guys today, based on your knowledge, based on your experience. It's such an amazing business that you're always growing in this business. I've gone from rental on property to development property, and lots of the other strategies in between. So it's an evolving, beautiful industry. That's all I can say.
I like that. It's a beautiful industry.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, 100%. I'm the same. I started out with rental properties, and now I'm teaching people, which is a great reward. You guys have been my mentors, and to be part of that team now and helping other people out and making people financially free. That's a buzz.
Jimmy's mentoring me now with a pub.
Yeah, exactly. You're learning stuff, and I think that's everybody's property journey is totally different. Because everybody's at a different level. You got some people that haven't got any knowledge at all, no funding. And the strategy that I teach, we get them started. Then you've got the next level in service accommodation side of things. Then you've got the development side of things, which is yourself, Immanuel. And it's sky's the limit of where I think any property deal could end up, and paths could cross.
Yeah, I think we're talking today mainly about the entry level of property, which is cash flow. And for most people, we've talked about financial freedom, and people tend to make that figure much bigger and harder than what it is. And
that's true.
And people often get confused financially free for wealthy. They're two completely different things.
Yeah.
So financially free for most people, if you actually look at your basic essential outgoings and cost, is between £2,000 and £3,000. And that's a very easy, achievable figure over 6 to 24 months. And again, people think it's going to happen overnight. It doesn't. But financially free, to start giving you choices and freedom, isn't a great deal of time.
Yeah.
I mean, you did it much, much quicker than that, and you're an exception to the rule. But however,
a good mentor.
Really great mentor. But for most people, it's a small amount of money, small amount of time if they just put the time, effort, energy, and educate themselves.
So small steps.
Small steps.
Okay, good information. I mean, when I first started in property, I bought a house here. I came here in 2003 from Australia. I bought a house 2 years later when I was told that you can't do it. You've got to have this. You've got to have this amount of savings. I went to one seminar. I bought one book, and from that, I got paid about $5,000 or $6,000, I think it was from memory, to buy my first house, which I now have, and I've just refurbed. I still have that, and it's been rented out ever since. Yeah. So that's provided me. It's doubled in price, in value, because we just had it revalued, and the rental has gone up, over £1,000, £1,100 a month. So I've had that, just one asset. I've had that over the last 10 years. Yeah. And that alone has given me, $150,000 if I wanted to spend it.
Yeah, I get this sort of question asked me a lot. It was much easier for me, or for when I started out in property. And the answer was, yes, it was much easier for me. However, the market conditions have changed, and I've had to keep my knowledge, my information abreast to evolve with how the market has actually changed. So can you still do all the things that I did 20, 25 years ago? Not in the same way, but it's still very achievable. And it might take the journey a little bit longer, but the steps and the processes and the skills are still now as they were then.
But I think as well, the different strategies now that I don't think was available 20 odd years ago. I listen to quite a few different podcasts because I'm on the motorway for an hour and a half each way wherever I normally go, and I'm listening to all these different strategies that I've learned and picked up over the last couple of years that 10 years ago I'm pretty sure they didn't.
Well, even what we're doing today, podcasts, technology, information, all of these tools that weren't available then are available now, which actually can accelerate the process massively. If you know what to do. I mean, you're doing that currently with your pub.
Yeah,
that's something that you talk about. But that couldn't have happened, that knowledge, that spread of information, that social interaction without technology.
I mean, for me, property, since that first property, I mean, Jimmy and I now got the biggest pub in North London. We've got a hotel there as part of it. We've got 2 children's nurseries. We're just starting up service desks or offices. Got service accommodation properties, got HMOs, got buy-to-lets. All of this has all been funded since that first property. Yeah. And I've just piled it all back in. So, it's not get rich quick, because I still had to work in those first few years. However, if I'd have known then about service accommodation, then I would have only been working probably another 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, and
things evolve, right?
I was the same. So I bought my first buy-to-let up in Liverpool. Used to go out with a Scouser many years ago, and I've never, if I heard of serviced accommodation back then, I'm pretty sure, I'd be in a different position now. I'm in a good position. I'm in a reclinable chair. But,
How many HMOs you got now?
I've got 31.
31. You bought 4 of those, haven't you, off the owners?
I've got 4 of them now that I purchased from the owners, which is great. I keep saying I'm turning 40 next month. I am actually turning 40 next month.
All right, mate. It's not that bad.
And, when I chat to people and I actually say, oh, yeah, I've got 31 properties. They go, what, you got 31 properties and you're only 40? It does put a smile on my face. Yeah. But, and the 2 pubs that I've got, and, I know that the desk club, the serviced offices thing's going to be a good thing that we're going to be working on this year. And I can see that being absolutely huge, just the way that the high streets are changing and what's happening on the high streets.
Yeah, I mean, commercial property, it doesn't always have to be commercial to resi. Why not commercial to a different commercial strategy?
I think we're talking on things that we actually know. I think we might need to break it down a little bit more. So maybe you can explain exactly what a HMO actually means. You can actually explain what serviced accommodation means and what you're talking about, the strategies, so people can understand what I call in layman's terms what these strategies are. In essence, not the full detail, but just basically what they actually mean.
So HMO, house of multiple occupancy, I teach people that, which is a rent-to-rent strategy, a strategy where we're renting somebody's house, we're getting the correct licensing, we're turning it into a house of multiple occupancy. We're paying all our bills, we're paying the landlord their rent. What's left over is profit, and that's our profit. If it's £1,000 and that's what you need to be financially free, well, guess what? You're financially free after your first deal. If you need 3 or 4 of these, then that's what's needed.
Yeah, it's like Immanuel said, small steps. You don't have to. If you focus on the 10 grand, it's going to be so much harder to mentally and the mindset. To go for that, whereas if you go for the first 1,000,
well, I was mad. I took 6 on at one stage.
I remember having that conversation at hotel. Remember?
Can I just chip in a bit more, just to make it a little bit simpler for people to understand? So, really, a HMO is taking a house or a property that might be a 3 or a 4-bedroom property that you would normally rent out on a single rental to a family, and converting it into what I call boxes. So each room becomes a box. So they might have an extra living room and dining room downstairs, and you actually increase those individual rental rooms from maybe a 3-bedroom house or a 4-bedroom house, either a 5-bedroom house or a 6-bedroom house. And instead of renting it for maybe, say, £1,000 a month as a rental, you rent them out per room at maybe £500 a room, and all of a sudden you're taking a property that would have generated £1,000 in rental income to maybe £3,000 of rental income. And there's lots of benefits. We won't go into too much detail, but that's really what the HMO strategy is taking a income-producing asset and actually what I call sweat the asset to actually increase the income and the cash flow from that property. That's basically the strategy. And you can either buy it, you can do it on a rent-to-rent basis. And again, we'll talk about this hopefully in the future, about how that's actually done. But that's the basic principle.
Yeah. So when you look at Jack Brown, one of your students, he took on that first, and the landlord said you can have the other. Yeah. I think out of 3, it's over £4,000 a month.
Yeah, he's got an absolute gem of a property there.
It is, awesome,
it was a bit slow getting started down there because we had quite a few doors slammed in our face, basically, with agents not up for it. I said, look, it's going to come 100%. You've only got to look on certain rental room sites down there. It was such a need for it, and he took on a big Victorian first floor flat that was converted. He's now got the top floor, and now basically he's controlling the whole property now.
And there's another guy, I think he just got his first one, $1,750 a month cash flow.
Yeah, Bobby and Terry, they're 2 friends of mine, and doing really, really well. They've only just got this property over the line. They pay rent from this Saturday. I took a call when I was on the way into the studio this morning. Everything's done. All the fire doors are done, and today is Wednesday, is it?
Boys are on fire.
They literally are on fire, yeah. So
service accommodation is similar. So you can leverage other people's properties, you can buy properties, whatever you want to do. There's pros and cons for each way of doing it. However, with service accommodation, you can get much the same as, if not similar or more, cash flow is what you do with an HMO. However, you don't need a 4, 5, 6 bedroom property to get that same cash flow. So where you're taking on a 4, 5, 6 bedroom property, we can get that from a 2/3 bed property, because we can sleep 6 guests in a 2-bed, if you like. I mean, there's different rules and regulations about different councils and what you have to get into, but that's not what we're here for today. But it gives you an outline there, and you can become, we've got students, James and Lindsay, this year, since last April, they've poured in 250 grand worth of revenue on 6 properties. Landlords just said to them, do you want another one? And it's going to be a bit like Jack Brown's. They're going to stack up the top, and he's going to renovate. Yep. And we got their interior designers to go in to see the landlord and tell them how they wanted it fitted out, how they wanted it renovated to suit their business model, which is service accommodation.
Can I just interject again?
Just
to really simplify the process. So service accommodation, in layman's terms, is effectively a hybrid of Airbnb. So a lot of you know Airbnb. You might want to go on holiday. You might want to find somewhere, location, you get a flat. You actually rent on Airbnb. However, the hybrid version is not only Airbnb, it's having the ability for people to book through things like Booking.com, Trivago, Airbnb. So that's what a service accommodation is, taking a normal property, whether it be a 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom apartment, a house, and actually increasing the income by renting it out on a nightly basis rather than on a monthly basis. So again, 2 different strategies, both taking a standard kind of property, a standard principle where you would have had a buy-to-let strategy where you let it out on a single basis, and actually looking how you can maximise that income. And then that's basically what it is. All the other bits are the sizzle and the embellishing, but the basic principle of a HMO, which is house and multiple occupation or service accommodation, is taking a standard, well-known buy-to-let structure and model, and then using it to actually increase your cash flow. Yeah. So I think that's the basic of what those 2 strategies are, to increase your cash flow. Do less work for more money.
Thank you, mate. Thank you.
Pleasure.
So listen, let's we're having a good time here, having a good chat like we would normally do, probably over a beer or a vegan sandwich you had now, is it? No, you're off that now. Yeah.
I've never seen you dress so well, mate.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So, in a nutshell, you're brand new today. You don't want to go and rack up 15 grand on your credit card by running to the back of the room when they go, sell, buy the next 10 courses, 5 courses, this course, the next get rich rubbish. And I was going to swear then, and we can't swear. So you're starting out, you've got, 5 grand. And you want to get into property. You don't have enough knowledge to go and buy a property for £1 and such. And you're starting out. So imagine me and Jimmy, we're your boys, your 2 sons, you're the pro.
I'm the younger
and you
one.
want us, Jimmy's the youngest, thanks mate. And you want us to do well in property, and you want us to be wealthy and no issues at the end of our life, and for our kids as well. Where would we start, Dad?
Well, you probably won't like my answer. And the reason I'm saying that is that before you actually part with any money, with any cash, you should really do a lot of research to see who are the people that you can fit with the most, that can help you and train you. What I will say from my experience, the larger the training room, the less likelihood is you're going to succeed. You want to have small, intimate training, and you want to be trained by people that are actually doing that strategy day in, day out. If you don't do it, you don't know it.
Yeah.
Correct.
And what they can't teach you is, the things that do go wrong. It's all right, people teaching you, oh, you do this, but and I know, not everything does go to plan. Not everything is rosy in any deal.
No. But the same in any business, right?
Yeah. So,
nothing goes in a straight line. The stock market doesn't go in a straight line. Your heartbeat doesn't go in a straight line. Adversity is there to help you grow and develop. Good judgment comes from bad judgment. Good experience comes from bad experience. You've got to go through those processes.
So don't fear failure, really.
Yeah, this business, like any business, is not all about the success. There will be some obstacles along the way. That's how we learn. I watched you this week doing Muay Thai. I do training, and I often go back to the principles of fitness. You don't go to the gym once and get fit. You might have the best training expert. He trained you for a whole day. Are you going to be able to be what he is? No. You're going to have ongoing training, coaching to develop you. You're going to have to know about your health, about your diet, about lots of different things. And over a period of time, In fitness, it takes probably 8 to 12 weeks before you start to make real changes. Consistent, daily. In terms of becoming an expert, there's 10,000 hours that you have to do to become an expert in something. That is
consistently.
That's 3.5 years working 8 days a week. So 8 hours a day, 7 days a week to become good at something. Most people don't put the time, effort, energy. Will it take that long in our business? No, it won't. You can accelerate that process. There's lots of ways you can accelerate now through technology, through information, through having the right people to show you at a fraction of the actual cost it would actually cost you to do. So my advice is get the information, do the research, have a look at the people that can really help you. And the smaller the group, the easier it is because you'll have that one-to-one. You'll have more people. You'll have more of that attention.
So the person on stage is the person doing the training.
Person on the stage is doing the training and the people around them. Look at their successes. In fact, go on reviews. Have a look at these people. See what their past students have actually done. What's the information? Are they saying good things? Are they saying bad things about those people? You know, success leaves clues, but also so does failure. People will leave information. That's why we have things like TripAdvisor and all these reviews. You really have to take a little bit of time to see who you want to be helped by.
Well, we have students who, we have superstars. We have the students who live in mediocrity, but for them, that's good enough. And we have people who, it takes them a lot longer to get there. Some people who don't get there, the odd person or two. So there's failure in everything, right? I mean, look at all the people that go to uni. Pick 1,000 people that go to uni. How many of those people who come out and graduate actually do what they studied for? Because there's no true passion for it, is there?
Well, one thing we're slightly different. I don't like the word failure. It's results. Football teams that talk about the results. You can change a result. Next week, if you don't win this week, next week we can change the result and do better. Same with property. And you're right. All of us go to school, and the people that tend to succeed more are the ones that come from adversity. If you're comfortable where you are, it's difficult to become uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And the people that really want to push and accelerate are those that either have real drive and determination or have something they want to move away from.
Yeah.
Those are the people that I want to focus my time and energy because I know they want to move from where they are. They have that passion, they have that drive. When you're comfortable, it's easy. And my kids are the same. My kids are comfortable. They don't have the passion and the drive. I want to see that passion and drive.
Yeah.
And that's how you help people to accelerate.
So how do you get that passion?
Where
do you find it? Because that's what I'm asked all the time. How do you find that passion, Ash? Where do you get it?
It comes from within. You have to have a reason, a purpose. What is your driving force? When I left school, one of the driving forces for me was my head of year teacher telling me I'd be a failure all of my life.
I had that.
I never, Mr. Silk, if you're listening now, Mr. Silk, mind you, probably about 90 now. I love graphics and design. And he always, I remember him saying, no, you're never going to get anywhere. And there was this one girl, Michelle Taylor, I think her name was, like the teacher's pet.
Yeah.
And I'd love to go back to school now and just sit in front of me teachers.
Sort out Michelle.
Well,
sorry, the teacher.
Yeah.
Sorry, mate.
Unfortunately, school, we measure everybody at school by grades and results.
Yeah.
If you measure an elephant compared to a monkey and how it can climb a tree, it's going to be a failure.
Of course.
We all have different skill sets. And the one thing at school that's
I
a failure...
The elephant and the monkey.
The one thing the failure at school is they don't teach people about money, about wealth. And you know why? They want to keep you small. They want to keep you stupid. They want to keep you in a box.
Need someone to pay the taxes. Yeah?
Think
what happened there? Did you have a little thunderstorm?
I just thought I'd elbow the mic.
Yeah, well, you tight. He started too.
He thinks he's DJing again.
So listen, I think we're getting towards the end. But so cash flow is probably the way to start, right? To get financially free before you start thinking about getting wealthy.
100% cash flow. It's all about when it comes to property. None of us have a crystal ball. None of us know where the property is going to go when we buy it, or when we take it on. So capital appreciation does happen over time. We just don't know when it's going to happen. Some years it goes down, sometimes it goes up. So if you have a strategy that gives you positive monthly surplus cash flow each and every month, it doesn't matter what happens to the property market, short term, medium term or long term, your investment is safe. It's giving you an income. So that's where you start. You wouldn't go to work and not want to get paid. So this way you do the job once and you get paid over and over and over again.
Consistently.
It's a great strategy. Property is just one of the strategies that you get paid over and again. There's lots of other what I call passive income, but there's nothing as simple and as easy as property.
Well, exactly. As long as you're educated in the right way from the outset. Yeah. So for me, and I've spoken to a lot of people about this, and well-known people and not so well-known people from experience and people who just read it in books. But to find your passion, you've got to know, is there something that you're good at on a daily basis? Like Chris sitting here, Chris is like the sound man of the UK, probably best in Europe, right? He's nodding his head. And then you've got to think to yourself, what do I talk about all day? And what do we talk about all day? Except for
honestly,
that. We talk about property, right? We're always engaged in property because we mix in those circles as well. Yeah, and we know that it works. So from experience, why would we do anything else? But then on the back of that, we've also said, right, okay, let's sort of mix things up a bit. And like when you phoned me up and said, Ash, you want to go halves to the pub? I just said, yeah. And then we sorted it out from there. And things come along, it's all working well, and then we're going to have the rooms, going to have the hotel, and now we're looking at other ones as well. We set different goals for that. Yeah. And, and then I'm no good, well, I'm okay with kids, I'm good as a dad, but I wouldn't be any good with other people's kids, if you know what I mean. Yeah. And my wife started up the nurseries, but all of that was financed by property. So you've got to have different things and different passions and find out what you're good at. And then the income will come, and then you can invest in other people's passions, if that makes sense. So you may have limited passions, like you've got the passion for a lot of things, your sport, your kids, your family, property, and a whole load of other things. Veganism now, I think. No, it's gone. But it's invest in other people's passions. If you find someone who's passionate, like your mate, Jimmy, you're one of the most passionate people I've seen. And I've seen you when you're operating the business. So why wouldn't you invest in that?
I think for me, my property journey has always been accelerated by collaboration, by working 100%. With people and bringing different knowledge and different skill set together to actually accelerate. Property can be a lonely business, and the more people that you work with, the three of us have different backgrounds. You come from Australia. I won't hold that against you. You're from a different side. We have different experiences, different education. Just a whole different background, and between the three of us, our expertise in different areas, you're an expert in service accommodation. You have become very quickly an expert in HMO. I've become an expert in creative strategies, in problem solving through property to accelerate what I do. So we all have different strengths and abilities, and by pooling them together, you can accelerate where you are. Massively, and that's what happens when you come to this kind of training or these sort of podcasts. You get a lot of information from three people simultaneously, so you have a broader knowledge of what's available.
We look at us here. There's four of us in the room with Chris the sound man, but we all met through property. Yeah. That's how we met. Yeah. So property's brought it together, and then we've gone out and branched into other businesses. We do other things. But for some reason, we all come back with that little force field, don't we? Yeah. Right, good. So I'm conscious of time. Anything else you want to sort of add? I mean, we talk about the JOB for a couple of minutes. I mean, people have got to work, and we've got nothing against jobs. I mean, we've been there, we've had jobs. We probably couldn't go back to jobs now. I know, certainly I couldn't.
I definitely couldn't. Well, I got the tube into where we are now, Leicester Square. Yeah. And it was like packing people in like sardines. I actually took a picture and sent it to the two guys. One of them works uptown, who I'm mentoring, Terry and Bobby. Yeah. And I said, guys, not long until this is over, because they hate it. I said, what's the worst thing? They don't mind their job, but it's the commute of. And I remember you telling me this, Immanuel. Think outside the box. You sleep in the box. You wake up in a box. You go to work in a box. And you go home in a box.
You watch a box, and you end up in a box.
Life is a box of boxes.
Think outside the box, and that's always stuck with me.
I heard an analogy a long time ago that stuck with me. The acronym for job is just over broke. And the truth is, for 80 to 90% of the population, that's where they are. They're living from paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
And they are just over the broke. Very few people in the UK have 3 to 6 months worth of savings if something were to happen.
Yeah.
I heard someone call it economic slavery.
Yeah, well, again, most people don't know what economic slavery is. Basically, when you go to work, before you start paying yourself, you're working to pay all your overheads,
Correct.
your mortgage, your rent, your taxes, all the things that you have on standing order, your Sky bill, your mobile. You're working for everybody before you actually pay. So that's what's called economic slavery, where you have to trade your time for money.
So Jimmy and I were speaking to a certain billionaire, we won't mention his name, and he was talking about how everyone in the world, and we term it here a limited company because that's the way it is in the UK, that every single person is their own limited company. You are your own business. And people say, when we ask people, who's the salespeople here? No one puts a hand up. And yet we're all salespeople because we are all limited businesses. Now, as you know, there are people who start up businesses. They simply just list a business with the company's house. And after a year, they get a letter to say, what you're doing? Well, it's gone dormant. How many people in this world are dormant just because they don't know, or they can't be bothered, or there's zero passion because they don't know how to find it? Met many of those?
I've met a few of those over the years. It still comes back down to education, the amount of limited education that people have. That I learned this expression for somebody else, and I've taken it. You don't know what you don't know. So if you don't know what you don't know, what don't you know? And in property, a lot of people think that you do have to have a lot of money. The truth is, and again, a lot of people talk about you don't need money. You do need money.
Yeah.
You don't need your money.
Yeah.
You need to know how you access that money.
Say that again.
Lots of
That's a
ways.
good point.
Yeah. So
You don't need money.
So people talk about that you don't need money, and that's not true. You do need money. You just need to know how you access money.
Good.
I'm one of those people that have been very creative in finding ways of how you access it. It doesn't have to be your money. When you buy your house, it's not your money. It's the mortgage company's money. And you got that. And we used to have mortgages that went up to 100, 125%. You can still do that if you know where to go. That's the only difference.
So, again, down to that education, isn't it?
Yeah.
Correct.
So I think we're going to wind up now. For those who want to hear more about us and see more about us, we're going to be posting podcasts out there probably once a week, once every fortnight, depending on how often we can get together. And the next one we'll be talking probably specifically about the cash flow and most likely HMOs.
Yeah, definitely.
And then from there we'll go into the service accommodation, and there we'll sort of start to progress our way through the property journey, if you like, from our experiences.
And also it'd be good to get some students on as well that we're mentoring, and
Great idea.
Hearing their side of it, you hear it from the horse's mouth, so to speak.
But if you want to see any of our posts, any projects that we're doing, any sort of student testimonials, you can find us on Wealth and Success Academy on Facebook, wealthandsuccessacademy.com, or Instagram is slightly different. It's Wealth Success Academy, or just go onto YouTube, and we've got loads of education videos, free information there, more of these sort of discussions and chats. And this will actually also be on YouTube as well, so you can watch this podcast, if you like, on YouTube, and just go in there and type Wealth and Success Academy. Apart from that, boys, it's been a pleasure. It's been good.
Been fun.
I think Jimmy wants to sit down to his favourite TGA Fridays now.
Enjoyed it. I can't beat a bit of a Jack Daniels chicken, can you, eh?
Yeah. Been great fun. All right, boys. Everyone, thank you. See you next time.